Presented by AfterBuzz TV and hosted by Hall of Fame superstar Sean X-Pac Waltman, this is X-Pac 12360. And now your host, WWE Hall of Fame superstar Sean X-Pac Waltman.
Welcome to X-Pac 12360, everyone.
Woo.
Hey, so usually I'm a little bit more, I bring a little bit more energy when I say that, but like the new intro kind of is a little bit more of a chill vibe to it.
There you go.
Right?
It's
mellow it out a little bit.
Yeah, and I like that. It doesn't have to be, welcome to X-Pac 12360! Doesn't fucking have to be like that. No one's going to turn the channel because I didn't have enough energy in my fucking intro.
Just keep it mellow out. It's fine.
Oh, it's good to be back home. I enjoyed my... Oh, we can turn that music off now. Thank you. I know that's like the thing that happens in the beginning for a while, like a podcast, people talk over the music, but it fucking annoys the shit out of me.
Yeah. I don't think I'm a big fan of that, actually.
All right.
I mean, if they can do it in a way where it just feels... Oh, no, they're just going.
I'm not saying it annoys me to listen to other people.
That's what I'm saying.
Podcasts like that, it just fucks with me. That's all. So, and especially like when we were in and doing it from Orlando
remotely,
to PC, and I heard that, and I was like, what the fuck is that? And then they were like, let's redo it. And I'm like, no, fuck it. But, so anyone that didn't actually hear that episode's probably going, what the fuck's he talking about? So, yeah, no, it's great to be home. I just want to thank Road Dogg for sitting in with me for the last couple of weeks down in Orlando.
Twice.
That was fun, right?
It was really fun. We got a lot of really great feedback. People really loved the conversation.
Yeah, and some
the
people
topics.
didn't. Some people were like, fucking company, man, towing the fucking company line. Fuck off.
Can't please everyone on the internet.
Come on. If anyone does not tow company lines that works for that company, it will be me. So, yeah. I work for them, and so I'm rooting for everyone in the wrestling industry, but I guess especially WWE.
Right. But I think you guys were
They're
giving
paying
your
me money.
perspective because you guys
Yes.
were there, you guys know it,
Yeah.
know the ins and outs,
Sure.
etc. I mean, you can say what you want online, but the fact is, you guys are there, you guys are working there, giving what you know.
Yeah. So it was nice. You know what really fucking sucked though was not having Lou with me.
Oh, wow.
Oh my god, I really missed her a lot. Right, Lou? She's down here scratching. She's down there. But yeah, no.
Who was watching her while you were at here?
My girlfriend Angela.
Nice.
But she started she writes TV shows, and she started her job. It's like a couple days after I left. So Lou was home alone for a while
Oh, man.
during the day. She's fine now.
Is she ever really home alone, or is she used to that?
Usually not.
Okay.
Usually not. But it's all right. She'll live.
So 2 weeks at the Performance
Yes.
Center. What was that like?
Ask me some questions.
Yeah, let's start off with that.
Pull some stuff out of me. It was nice. So anyways, we had Road Dogg on, and he talked about going down there, and that was kind of like when my first trip down there a few months back. Brian hadn't quit SmackDown and went down there yet, so a lot of the stuff that I might have been doing down there, he's doing some of. So and he's doing a great job of it too. Leading like a group, kind of like and I talked about how Sean has a group,
Right.
and but there are other groups too, like Terry Taylor has one, and different people have one, and Brian has one, and he's just really good at leading groups, and because he does a lot of that kind of thing. He led like the production meetings a lot of times up in like for the SmackDown stuff, and also I think Brian does a lot of he leads a lot of the meetings when he goes to AA meetings. So, and it's great, and the way he motivates people that are in his group, and not just what the shit you're doing right or wrong in your matches, but like in life.
Leadership skills.
And yes, and just, you know, how to be a better person, and, you know, throwing that in there, but not like, you know, cramming it down people's throats.
Yeah, and I think that energy and that charisma was kind of one of his trademarks for so long that it makes sense that he would be kind of a natural leader in situations like that.
Hey, so everyone, if you're wondering who the fuck that is, that's Ty Matthews. Thank you, Ty.
Everybody. Happy to be here.
Thank you for coming in, Ty.
Absolutely.
Been waiting for you for a few weeks.
Thank you.
Hopefully everyone will understand why I've been waiting for you.
No pressure.
Hopefully you do a good job.
No, it'll be fun. It'll be fun. I'm really glad to be here. Definitely. Obviously, been a huge fan, and I've been waiting to do it as well. So it'll be cool.
So I just real quick, Ty is a talent, championship wrestling from Hollywood. That's just one of the things, and like. So anyways, I always tell everyone, like, if we busted a take or whatever, and this is take 2, maybe even take 3 of this. So I was already talking with Ty, and he was explaining, you know, I just thought you were a manager over there, and I didn't know you were having matches.
So, well, I started as a wrestler. I was a wrestler first and foremost, then took a couple years off, came back, got into managing. That was like one of the last things that I hadn't yet done in wrestling before, because I had refereed, I had commentated, all sorts of stuff. So now I'm kind of juggling managing, wrestling, and producing a little bit as well.
And outside of wrestling, what's your background?
Outside of wrestling, I'm a writer. Majored in creative writing, minored in journalism. That's kind of my main thing. Written for a lot of magazines before. I've written for Hustler magazine, for Alternative Press, all sorts of stuff.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right.
And your comedy show.
Yeah. I help produce a wrestling themed variety show at the Pac Theater in Hollywood. So
very cool.
Just trying to stay busy.
Anyways, yeah. All right, enough. Just kidding.
What a nice introduction to the show.
Right?
Get it all
if
out
you're
now.
wondering who the fuck that is, I just like to, you know, have a good time here.
Of course.
You know, I keep it serious, and I like to whatever. You fucking heard this show before. Jesus Christ, where was I? I was talking about
PC.
PC and Brian and people like saying we're towing the company line, and it's just I don't know. Where was I? Know I was.
So
I moved on from
you
that.
were talking about groups and how he leads a group
right.
and what he does
Yes.
with the group, but you didn't. So, what specifically does he do with the groups? Like, how does the
Helps
day
him
look
out.
like?
All that stuff is like, you know, those groups. You're looking at the matches with them, and they call them skull sessions.
Okay.
And I think they. Don't ask me why they call them that. They borrowed the term from. I think maybe football, or something.
But they're studying footage and things like that, kind of breaking it down.
Yeah, and it's incredibly valuable. You know, because a lot of times in the past, like, you know, before you could just watch everything back on, we had to just go by memory, drive, leaving the building and driving to the next town,
Right?
In the car, going, "Oh, you remember when? You know, when you ducked the punch and you hit me with that, did it? You know, and all that, and like you kind of got to go by memory." Of how things worked, and and it's just so much better when you can actually go and point to it on video. So and having all these just the thoroughbreds in wrestling in this group, and having knowledge dropped on them by guys like Shawn Michaels, Road Dogg, myself, Terry Taylor, just guys that just.
So many years of experience.
Yes. And different levels of drawing money. And it's just, wow.
Was there anyone that kind of jumped out at you in particular that you can?
Yeah, there's plenty of people that, and some of them I don't even know their names. Zia Lee?
Oh, she was in the Mae Young Classic.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. I'm impressed with her. She's going to be a star. Keep an eye on Bianca Belair. I know they featured her here and there already. But,
yeah, definitely.
You know, she's
gotten some nice pops, like when she does shows.
And and she has some work to do, and she's doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And she's just about everyone there, like they're there to learn, and they're fucking doing a great job down there.
How are the new guys assimilating? Like Shane Strickland, Garza Jr.
Oh, yeah, Garza Jr. Yeah, he did really well. Big fan
of his.
Really well.
So amazing.
Yeah, he had a match, one of the TVs. Okay. So I could just tell you about that. So I got there on Monday, and Wednesday was TVs already, and actually Wednesday and Thursday, because they had two. They had to do TVs to head all the way into SummerSlam.
Oh wow! So they're doing like back to back.
Yeah. So I helped out with a lot of that.
Nice, and I had heard about this kind of this sort of tournament that they're doing.
Oh, the breakout tournament.
Mm.
Yeah, and I like that. And the name of it's fine too. I guess I was trying to think of we call it Young Lions Tournament, or I don't know. It's because that's basically what it is.
Right. Yeah.
Now there was some good stuff in that. So I'm trying to. Yeah. So Garza Jr., who's going by Angel Garza now, I think is what he's going.
Yeah.
He worked with DJZ, had a really good match with him. DJZ is called Joaquin something.
Joaquin Wild, I think?
Something like that, yeah. Oh, shit. Keith Lee's... I think Keith Lee's going to do well.
Definitely, yeah. It's impossible not to be impressed.
They're not, doing a ton with him, right now, but they will be.
Yeah, definitely. And I saw some pictures online of him and ACH. Hopefully, they get a chance to work together. ACH now Jordan Miles.
Jordan Miles, and I think he's doing well in the tournament.
Mm-hmm. He has a really good persona.
Yes.
ACH. That's one of the things I noticed about him. That he has this energy.
Yes.
That you can tell that's who he is. That's his person. Yeah. You can't teach that kind of energy.
Yeah, and Trevor Lee is called Cameron Grimes now, and he's a standout in that tournament as well.
I love that concept of taking an entire field of people that hadn't been on TV on the show and kind of just I think it's a ready-made recipe for giving someone that kind of push,
like highlighting their strengths and stuff.
Yeah.
Actually, I have a freaking lose. Of course, every time I need something, whether it's the fucking remote at home or my phone or something, or a charger cable. If I can't fucking find it, all I have to do is look under Lou. So, anyways, give me a second. Hey, Lou. This might help refresh my memory.
There we go.
It's this is a list of everyone. And
wow.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Oh, shit. I know it's going to tell you. From the Beverly Brothers.
Yeah.
Wayne Bloom and Mike Enos. Wayne Bloom's son Cal is there. Is at the PC
no
now.
Shit. Okay.
Had no experience prior to going there. Kind of looks a lot like his dad. I think for someone that doesn't have any experience, I'm pretty impressed with him.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's got a good look. Who the fuck else? Adrian, I can't pronounce his last name.
Brazilian guy.
Yes, and now he's called Arturo Huas.
Yes.
And I think he's got a lot of promise too. There was a match he had with Matt Riddle that was on one of the TVs that you'll be seeing. Wow, so good and so different from anything because Huas. He doesn't have any pro wrestling background at all, and so I was wondering, so I went up to Riddle and I was like, "Hey man, how's this match gonna go?" And he goes, "I'm just gonna fight him. I'm just gonna fight him because I can," and that's how. And
because he also comes from a martial arts background, doesn't he?
Obviously. So it was really cool. It was. it didn't resemble like a conventional pro wrestling match, and that was like the best part of it. And the people, like, they were into it and they enjoyed it. Yeah, I think you guys will like it.
Yeah, I think the Brazilian talents that they've got between Huas and then Cesar Bononi and Tenera Conti, I love watching that unit perform because it's different. It gives you something new, you know?
Yeah. Guy from India that they made like this movie about the $1 Million Arm. Have you ever heard of that guy? His name is Rinku Singh.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's gonna be a big star.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very like like another guy who doesn't have any experience and wrestling before all this, and I saw a match he had. There were people from India there, like the media press or whatever was there. ESPN was there, I think. Take a look at him, and he was really impressive to me. Like very believable in there, just incredible facials. Like his face and just like. It's incredible. Like the facials are incredible without him even trying.
That's awesome.
And like he grabbed the headlock on the guy, and I'm like, oh my god! It looks like he's fucking killing the guy. Like it looked like the guy was actually going out there and having a match, like
catches your eye,
trying to wrestle.
Yeah, definitely.
Nothing. Like very green, very very green. But yeah. Let me see who else. Jonah Rock.
I love Jonah Rock. Absolutely. Definitely.
Yeah.
The Australian scene is just top to bottom incredible.
Shit. I'm sitting here reading off this paper like dipshit.
You should just turn the paper around. These are all the names.
Oh fuck. Hey, did you see Riddick Moss talk about the Achilles tear with Kevin Durant? What? Come on, guys, help me out here.
I think Kevin Durant had an Achilles tear, right?
I'm not entirely sure.
Oh, fuck. Never mind. Jesus fucking Christ.
Stumped us on that
Ryan
one.
The Boothie guys. Yeah, Kevin Durant did have an Achilles tear in the finals.
Yeah, and so Riddick Moss, one of the NXT guys who had an Achilles tear and came back full recovery.
5 months.
In 5 months.
Oh, wow.
And so, he was on TMZ, telling Durant, hey, no, man, you don't need to be out the whole fucking season. You can get this shit done in 5 months. Yeah, he's like, hit me up.
That's awesome.
Hit me up. I'll fucking help you out with that.
That's 6 days ago on TMZ. That's good for Riddick Moss.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fuck. There's a lot, Street Profits.
Yep.
Definitely.
A lot of charisma.
Yeah, Montez Ford is just. I like Angelo Dawkins a lot, but Montez Ford is on a whole other level with his charisma and energy, the stuff he can do in the ring.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't. I would rather have him be like that and then pull him back a little bit at times than be like, hey man, you need to be a little bit more,
Right, because he's kind of on all the time.
Yeah.
So the Monday you got there, you and Brian said that you were running through entrances with everyone at the Performance Center.
Yes.
Were there any standouts from that day that might, I don't want to say shock us, but that they may be known for their in-ring? Like you saw
I said Zaya and her partner. Forgive me for not knowing some of the names, but they had a great entrance. Aaliyah and some other and another girl
and Vanessa Bourne, I think.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, they had as a team, right? They had a nice entrance. Anyway, and there's several I'm not going to name names, but several. You can tell they work on their entrances a lot more than they work on the shit in their fucking ring. They got those entrances fucking down.
So now, when you were there, so you talk about these groups and stuff. So were you in Road Dogg's group, kind of chiming in, or how did that work for you?
I sat in with Brian's group. I sat in with Terry Taylor's group. I sat in with Sean's group.
So a little bit of everything.
Yes, and I did some one-on-one stuff because. When someone's giving you critique, it's a lot better. And for me, giving someone critique, I can be more honest with them and fucking brutally honest with them if all their peers aren't in the room with them.
Right.
So
don't want to put them on blast in front of everyone.
Yeah, it's just easier for everyone.
Now, do you know, like, okay, so for example, like you're giving a guy, you know, whoever, you're giving the guy a critique. For the most part, does the guy
Girls
kind of
too.
already, well, yeah. So does the person already, like, know, like, this is what I need to work on? Do they kind of already know, like, what it is the critique is going to be? Or do you find that most times it comes as a surprise?
One would hope they have somewhat of a clue just by, you know, being, you know, just paying attention to what's, you know, how things are going in the match.
Sure.
You know, okay, boy, I tried that. That sure didn't work. Or, you know, geez, I wonder how come the crowd's so dead for, you know, when we're out there fucking just going balls to the wall and throwing everything, you know, doing everything we got. So, yeah, hopefully. Now, there are some people that, like, hey, you say, hey, you see that? Like, maybe you shouldn't have done that. Or, hey, you got to work on that. And you get to, like, really? You know, like they did, and it's like, don't you watch your shit back?
Right.
Like, can you like?
It's like you said, yeah. That's such a luxury now to be able to have that, not have to scour for VHS tapes.
Yeah.
Do you find that that's either because they were taught a different way, or because that's just the way they do things and they are accustomed to do a certain thing?
They just weren't taught. Those things aren't. It's hard to teach. It's hard to teach. Those things in actual wrestling school, you know, in a building with a ring in it where there's not a crowd, right? And
Do you mean like entrances and stuff?
No, I'm talking about everything. I'm talking about the match stuff. Like you can go through the mechanics of a match, but all the little in between shit that I talk about, like you kind of need a crowd for that to see if it actually works on them, you know. So.
Right. I imagine it's similar to comedy. Like you can work on jokes all you want, but like
Oh, boy.
until you're telling them in front of a crowd.
Yeah, and yeah, a crowd that's like not trying to be nice, like,
Right.
Or open micers just waiting for their turn to
Yeah,
tell their jokes.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
'Cause there's I call them comedy bubbles in LA where people become good open mic comedians.
Sure.
They're not good comedians.
Right. Right. Luckily, yeah, there isn't that sort of a thing in wrestling. It's always people that are there to see wrestling, hopefully.
Yeah. Anyways, I'm looking at this, and there's so many names on this paper. Like I'm like, okay, all right.
Do you have an idea when you'll go back?
Maybe at the end of July.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Yeah, once a month is kind of what we're looking at right now for a week.
And did
I
you
just don't want to, like, I really love California.
Did you also want to share that photo that you were talking about earlier?
Oh, yeah. Hey, so if anyone that's watching right now, like, take a look up there. We got that's who I was at work with every day down there. Old AfterBuzz and X-Pac 12360 alum Johnny LaQuasto and Mark Donica. And so every day I went to work, I saw those guys.
That's
and
so
they're
cool.
very happy, and they're doing a great job, and which I'm really thankful for, because you don't want to send anyone down there and they go, "What the fuck? Who the fuck did you send us?" So
I would argue you're 3-0 at this point.
Yeah, right.
So and look at the big smile on Mark's face.
He's so happy.
Yeah.
God,
I was actually noticing yours. You were like, yeah.
And yeah, we had to go outside because there are no pictures allowed to be taken inside the PC. So, anyways, okay, let's move this thing forward.
All right. Well, we have a lot of news to talk about. And unfortunately, I'm going to kind of start off with, not a happy one at all, which was the passing of Adrian Lionheart McCollum, who passed away at the age of 36 years old. He is best known as Lionheart in the UK Indies. He was ICW World Champion. He started wrestling in 2002, and in 2007, he was with ICW. Sean, I know you tweeted about him.
I knew Adrian, and what a great guy. And I actually worked for him because... I did shows in Scotland for him, and I did I was on OTT shows with him, and just other shows throughout the UK, and fuck, And I'm not I don't want to even get into the nature of how he passed because I'm not sure that those details.
I don't think those are out yet.
Then I'm not going to talk about it. But just incredibly sad. Fuck, man. So yeah, because there are those details have been shared. I don't know how in depth I want to go on this, but I just want to say that this guy was a great guy. And people say that about everyone when they pass, but no, super guy. And my heart goes out. Like my heart hurts for everyone overseas right now over there that knew and loved him.
You can tell the amount of support coming out for him is definitely indicative of how much of an impact he had on the UK scene.
Yeah, and I think there was some there was an issue with his neck. So, because, some people might wonder, geez, how come we never saw him in WWE or whatever? And trust me, he was good enough. Absolutely good enough to be there. I think there was an issue with his
2014,
neck.
he broke his neck in 2 places after taking a Styles clash from AJ Styles improperly.
Oh, wow. Yeah, so that was an issue that prevented, I think, him from being able to pass a physical.
Right.
Most likely.
I think. I'm not sure. But just for anyone that was wondering maybe why they hadn't seen him in WWE. So to everyone, like all the everyone in ICW and all over, the UK, I'm really sorry. And, just, I don't even know what to say.
Especially 36 years old.
Yeah. Yeah. So maybe we'll talk about it, in upcoming shows when more has been shared. But it's definitely not my place to, elaborate any further. So, all right.
All right, so moving on, I guess you can say we're going to get into more controversial waters. I don't know if that's what you want to say. So recently, Seth was interviewed by Sports Illustrated Media, and obviously he was asked about Dean Ambrose comments that were made on the Chris Jericho's podcast, and I know he was on another podcast as well, talking about his past experiences with WWE, mainly talking about promos and being upset with creative and stuff like that. So Seth actually did talk about this and did answer this. He said that not everybody was equipped to handle the rigors of WWE and the schedule and how it affects you mentally and emotionally. He also went on to say that Ambrose did give everything he had for the company, but at the end of the day, he chose to take his ball and go home and go elsewhere. He did say, and I think it's a little presumptuous of him to get on a podcast and talk down about the company that gave him such an opportunity. However, in the end, he did say that he loves Dean and that they just have different perspectives on who they want and what they want in their lives.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I can't really. Those are his thoughts.
What were did you listen to the Dean Ambrose podcast?
I listened to parts of it.
What were kind of, I don't know if you talked about that on the show before, but what were your kind of thoughts on it? Do you agree with Seth? Do you think it was presumptuous or?
I'm not there. I'm not there full time, so it's really not for me to say. I can't say, Seth is wrong, and or anything like that because it's. I'm like I said, I'm not there. I don't work there full time. I can only go by the information that I get, and I don't go digging.
Right.
Like I've said, Denise, you guys on the show before, I can know a lot of things. I choose not to. I just don't. I don't know. It's weird for me.
Sure.
It's a weird deal with me on the show, having the show and, trying to balance out.
Yeah, totally.
What to talk about on here.
Right.
Or what to even dig for and, what to, because everyone wants to have scoops or breaking news or that. And anyways. About Seth. I can understand why he said that. And yes, different people are equipped to deal with things different. People are wired different, and it's not. Yeah, I mean, just like some people over the years, had to resort to using substances to get through, to make it through, and some people didn't, and the ones that didn't will go. So I don't know why he's gonna. I didn't need to do it. Well, you're fucking different,
right?
You're not wired the same, and so, yeah, and people have different experiences in that company. You can be working for the company at the same exact time and have a totally different experience.
Sure. And I think in regards to creative, since a lot of Dean's comments on that podcast were regarding kind of creative and the stuff that he was given,
yeah.
I mean, we've seen enough people in the past, for lack of a better term, turn chicken shit into chicken salad,
Yeah.
If you look at The Undertaker on paper, a wrestling zombie shouldn't work, but here we are decades later.
Yeah.
So, yeah, everyone's got a different kind of take on it, different experience.
Yeah. And so, yes, he did choose to take his ball and go elsewhere. It's his choice.
And I think, I think there's nothing wrong with that at a certain point,
No.
Well, Ty, I'm happy that you brought up the point about turning something into something else, because Drew McIntyre also said in another interview, I believe this was with Sam Roberts actually, where he said that so last week on the show, when we had Road Dogg in, we talked a lot about promo, scripting, non-scripting, etc. Okay, so Drew McIntyre also went in further on this, and he basically said that people go online and they read on the internet, WWE wants you to read everything verbatim. He went on and said that this was not true. He also did say that there is a lot of opportunity outside of WWE, but some people aren't willing to put in the work. He also noted that he can't guarantee every guy will become a Drew Galloway, which was what he was going by in the Indies, or a Cody Rhodes. So he said, so you might want to start putting the work while you're in WWE.
Yes.
And he said, stop complaining on Twitter and make it happen, because taking the Drew and Cody route doesn't work for everybody. And there's a lot of people that are talented and do deserve more opportunities, but aren't putting the work in. And I gotta say, I absolutely agree with this. Sean, do you want to?
Absolutely. I mean, because you just go by his example of Drew himself. I remember his first run there. I remember seeing him around, and and it was just, and it wasn't like he was bad. It wasn't like
It was just like bland.
Yeah, it was just like there was nothing wrong with Drew Galloway.
Right.
It's just there could have been way more right. Like, yeah, I mean, just look at how he looks now compared to how he looked then. Like,
right.
Yeah, and so I guess a lot of people might be frustrated, okay, and but not everyone is not being utilized, or like, okay, what I'm saying is, oh fuck. So sorry. Sometimes I'm like one of those things again. One person's reasons for being held back might be totally different than others, right? Some people might have a totally legit gripe, like they're bringing it, they're fucking doing everything that they need to do, like they're they look the part, their fucking gear is good, they're like their in-ring shit is good. They're, they just, for some reason, they're just not, being figured into things. And then there's some people that think they're doing everything, but they're really not. They're slipping, like, as far as how they look, their physique, they're, maybe they're just kind of going through, they're uninspired once they, get in the ring. I mean, there's different reasons. Like,
sure.
Not everyone is just being held back.
Do you think some of it might have to do with just the sheer volume of people that they have in their contract?
Absolutely. Yes.
I mean, at a certain point, you look at a roster of that size, you can only use so many people to fill these hours of TV.
Yeah. And Drew's right. Like, okay, so if you're not happy there, like, I mean, and you go and you take a chance on yourself, like, man, you got to put in the fucking work, like a Drew did, or like, and you got to be motivated and like have a plan and focus, and like a Cody did.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, you remember when Cody first decided he was going to leave and go out on his own?
Taking bookings for less.
Did you see he had a list?
That list, yeah.
Right? He had a list of people he wanted to have matches with, all these different things, you know? And yeah.
Yeah, it's wild
It's
to think
just-
how different things are now.
Yes.
Just,
there are different, I guess what I'm trying to get at is there are different reasons for people not doing well, you know, or not having a good experience.
From what
Some of it has to do with you, you know. So maybe sometimes not, but a lot of I know, like, for me, a lot of the things that I complained about, like, when I look back on, like, a lot of that had to do with me and my fucking attitude.
Right.
So, yeah. Anyways.
So I was going to say, one of the things, speaking of Drew and Cody, they're an example of these guys who left the company to go pursue something else. You know, obviously Drew probably didn't expect to go back and work for the company, but instead he went out there and just wrestled, because we had him here on the show, and
That's
I remember him talking about just going out there and wrestling all these guys with different styles. And get that, because he did those little things, or, you know, those matches here and there, that is what added to his confidence, what added to his growth, where it kind of changed who he was.
Absolutely.
You know? And I think that was the difference. Like, he had like experience that you can't just, I mean, you can probably teach, but you have to go out there and you have to grab it. And I think we saw that in his face. And then Cody Rhodes, I mean, I don't think when he left he knew he was going to be running AEW or something like that. Obviously not, who can predict that. But, you know, again, I remember talking about him going out there, working for less, and just going out there and, you know, taking whatever opportunities you can. And you would see a guy like Cody and think like, okay, he should be working at, you know, charging this price, charging this rate. But let's face it, not every promoter local level can afford a guy like that. And sometimes some guys that leave the company, you know, they overprice themselves because, you know, they either want to work for more money or whatever it is, but then it might be good in the beginning when they just left the company, but afterwards it's going to die down, you know, and they're not going to get those opportunities very, very often. So I just think it was a pretty cool comment that he said, because, you know, you just got to go out there. You don't know what's going to happen.
And also, and this goes to people that talk about working for free or working for, you know, discounted rates and like, oh, don't sell yourself. Look, there are other things of value you can get from going and doing a show besides the payoff.
Right.
Right? Like getting a buzz out there. But like I saw Cody and, you know, PWG, they're not, like, I don't think famous for their fucking incredible payoffs. Right?
Right.
So I'm pretty sure Cody had to, you know, adjust his price.
Compromise a little bit.
Right?
Yeah.
To go and do like a PWG or some of these other things. But it was the value that he got from that, right? That he's smart. And a lot of people don't fucking get, is you get a buzz out there about you. You get people talking about you. You know, and this buzz gets bigger and bigger, and then it turns into something else, right?
Yeah.
You know, like eventually, you know, I mean, look what the fuck's going on right now.
Right. And I think, it generated so much interest as he started checking names off that list, going around to different promotions, making those matches happen.
Yeah.
And Sean, another example is you don't even have to leave the company, because look at Becky Lynch. I don't know, did any of you guys watch that 24 special on her on the WWE Network? That was really interesting. Basically, they showed about how, you know, her WrestleMania match when she was in the triple threat with Charlotte and Sasha. And basically, there was a moment where she was at a convention and Mattel brought out these dolls of the main event of the WrestleMania moment, right? Yeah. But they didn't give Becky a doll. She was just excluded. It was all the three girls sitting down, and this comes out in the documentary. They give them custom dolls to the two other girls and not Becky, even though she was in that match. So, for example, Charlotte is Charlotte. She's Ric Flair's daughter. She has all of that. She's great and talented. They're all talented, right? Sasha came in with so much hype from NXT, so she had that. Becky always had that something, but she was always like losing her spot.
Yes.
She talked about not being shown on the posters and stuff like that. So what did she do? She just kept working, kept trying something new. She talked about stuff that she did through social media, and that's how she started connecting with the fans. And bam, next thing you know, she's in the first ever women's main event at WrestleMania against Ronda Rousey and Charlotte. So it was just crazy to me watching that evolution of her and seeing how much she was put down, or not put down, but, you know, she was on the shadow. She was on the shadow.
Hey, look, when you're overlooked, it's. I totally understand what, like, that motivating her, because that kind of shit used to piss me off.
Yeah, and I think that also kind of goes hand in hand with what we were talking about kind of using what you're given. If you look at her NXT debut, she's coming out doing Irish jigs down the ramp and in the ring, and you know, luckily she kept at it and found something that was more true to herself, you know?
Yeah, because, really? The Irish jig?
Yeah.
The fucking Lord of the Flat? Fucking Michael Flatley or whatever the fuck?
Yeah.
The Lord of the Flat.
Although I will say, on WWE's perspective with Becky Lynch, it was always a good problem to have that you brought up three very talented people at the exact same time. Mm-hmm. That, one of them might get lost in the shuffle. So they have to work double as hard to not get lost in the shuffle. So it's good that they all lived up to each other's rising tide.
Hey, so what else?
All right, well, let's move on. We have another Seth Rollins topic, and it is his Twitter war with Will Ospreay, which I did not see coming. When I saw this, I was like, Seth Rollins and Will Ospreay? Okay, this is going down. All right, so Seth put out a tweet saying, doubling down, best pro wrestling on the planet. See that cruiserweight triple threat, and that's just one night, one match amongst the many. Find anyone else alive who does what I do as well as I do, as often as I do it. You can't. And then Will actually tweeted to him saying, I'm alive, basically saying, hello, I'm here. And Seth Rollins responded with, I'm sorry, little guy. We already have a better version of you here. And he just won his first U.S. title tonight, and then congratulated Ricochet. And he wrote, keep working hard, though, buddy. And then Will Ospreay basically wrote back saying he's wrestled more matches than Seth has this year. And then basically afterwards he said, Ospreay said, no talk of money, no talk of Ricochet. You just said anyone. Here I am, just a contender. Just say, hope this back heals up. All right? Yeah. Hope your back heals up. Hope the back heals up, excuse me. So, I don't know. What are your thoughts on this?
I think okay, so I don't have a problem with, and even if I did have a problem with it, who gives a fuck? This Seth coming out there and saying he's the best and that they're the best. I mean, that's what you do. Because
I imagine
kind of came off a little, kind of like a dick a little bit, you know, and some of that. But
like the little buddy
so
stuff.
So what? And I don't have a problem with either one of them saying what they said. Like, because I fucking Will Ospreay is the fucking shit.
I imagine Seth is catching.
If he there like good argument. Really good argument for him being the best on the fucking planet. I'm just being fucking brutally honest after watching his shit lately. Even the in between the move shit, he is on a level with fucking that few other people are.
100%.
Some people also believe that he's already topped Kenny Omega.
Maybe.
I think so.
Maybe.
But
I'm sorry,
honestly, I think he's the most valuable guy New Japan has.
I can see
that's not Japanese.
And I think Seth Rollins is
by a fucking long shot.
Seth Rollins is kind of acknowledging that by replying at all, because I don't think Seth Rollins would elevate someone to his level.
That's a good point.
Literally, like I don't think he'd reply and have these what feel like spirited jides at each other.
Right. But I imagine, Seth is catching a lot of the shit that you were talking about earlier about, being a company man, towing the company line.
He's just towing he's towing the company line. But I mean, shouldn't you be fucking rooting for the team you're on?
Right. And especially since he was talking about that cruiserweight match. I mean, we'll get into that, but definitely.
And that was a
point.
All right. Yeah.
I just think there's a way to do it, and maybe I don't know if Seth did it the best possible way.
He did it the way he did it, and
True.
he's that it's him. So we can talk about maybe he could have did it. He's just being him. You know, for better or worse. You can like it or not like it. He has a pretty good, like, fucking argument. He's one of the best out there.
Yeah, I think
one of the elites.
Out of any of the criticisms that people might have, I definitely don't think he's ever one of them, you know?
Yeah.
Well, I think somebody, a fan, told him, like, oh, you need to dial it down. And Seth basically responded, like, no, I'm
going to dial it up.
Yeah. He should fucking do it how he uses it, do however, whatever the fuck he feels like.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Sean, I could only imagine, you know, for example, being Seth Rollins right now in his position, and there's obviously a lot of people who are probably tweeting at him, telling him, like, oh, your stuff's not great, or whatever the people are. Can you imagine getting negative tweets thrown at you all the time when you're going out there and you're working your butt off, etc.? You know, I'm assuming at some point you're going to want to say something back, and I think that's something along the lines that he mentioned was saying, like, oh, we need to start fighting back or start saying something back, somewhere along those lines. He said that.
Yeah. So basically, my feelings are this is just fine. You know, I mean, people, it's just back and forth bantering, big, you know, shit talking. I don't know. So we're 51 minutes in already. Okay. All right. So yeah, what was that? Fuck.
You were just basically saying they're both doing their thing.
Yeah, no.
Two professionals, playful.
So yeah, okay. Big fan of both of them.
Yep.
All right.
And also, hey, not gonna dive into this, but like I did read a bit of a letter that something that Ospreay put out talking about his depression and you know, and good. I'm glad he did that. It's good to do that kind of thing when you're dealing with shit like that.
And I think wrestling...
And it also just, like, sheds light on it for everyone else that might be going through similar things, you know?
Exactly, yeah. I think that people in wrestling are breaking down that stigma, of having, you know, their own kind of struggles with mental health. Mm-hmm. And wrestling can definitely be so isolating and so kind of, you know,
and
rough
also
on you.
The people that are brilliant at the things they do are quite often fucked up in the head.
Yeah.
They're hard on themselves, too.
Yes. So, yeah. No, I just like nothing but support for like anyone that like you know wants to share their stories like that. You know. Okay. All right. Enough.
Do you want to go on our break and then come back?
Yeah,
with
we're
going to
go on a break and we're gonna get into a lot of shit, but next segment, we're going to have John Arezzi on to talk about his new podcast, Pro Wrestling Spotlight. And we had John on a few months back. And so, like, I'm really glad that he got things rolling now. So we'll be right back in just about 2 seconds. Welcome back, everyone. And joining us over the phone right now from Long Island, New York. He's a friend of mine. And he was the host of, what's it? Okay. A lot of people know this man and Vince Russo had a radio show back in the day, and then they had a split, and John was the first guy like that ran the big pro wrestling convention, and I was at one of them, and now John has a podcast with the great Brian Last, and it goes back and revisits some of the Pro Wrestling Spotlight shows. So he's here to talk about that. John Arezzi, everyone. All right. Boy, what a discombobulated fucking intro that was for you. Sorry about that, John. It was just rambling fucking aimlessly.
Hey, listen. No problem. We all travel a lot. Things happen, and I'm just very grateful for being invited back on your show, which I've now, been addicted to. I listen to every single episode.
Do you really?
Wow. I do. I love your show. I listen to Conan's show. I have a handful that I have to listen to every week.
John,
and
the thing is,
I enjoy them, man.
The thing is,
do a great job.
I would not blame you at all for not listening. There's so much out there to fucking listen to.
There's a lot.
So, I appreciate that. It means a lot to me, man.
Well, because it's honesty. It's like, what I've discovered, especially with shows like yours and Conan's, and it's not like all the other stuff that's out there, because there's so much of the same stuff.
Yeah.
And when I put together this with Brian, the Pro Wrestling Spotlight Then and Now podcast, I thought about what's going to make it different. All right, we're going to go back into the archives, and the show's format is going back 30 years to listen to the original Pro Wrestling Spotlight show from 30 years ago, talking about it, the behind the scenes, and so it made it different. And that's what I really love about your show and Conan's, and I listen to Cornette. I think Cornette is just one of the most great talkers there's ever been in the business, and he holds nothing back, and if he has a beef with you, he's going to freaking call you out. So that's what I love about it. But a lot of the other stuff is all the same. So that's why with the shows that you're doing and some of the others, and when I entered the fray of, hundreds and hundreds of these things, it's like, how are we going to make it different? But it really is a historical look at what happened back in the business 30 years ago. And you got to remember that I was kind of the first guy to do a weekly call-in talk show with guests that centered around pro wrestling. And I was fortunate enough to be able to bring on some amazing guests throughout the entire history of the show, which went from 89 through 1996. So we're in the very beginning stages of the shows, and I haven't heard any of these shows in 30 years.
So,
We started it as a case. Yes, go ahead, Sean.
No, I was just going to say, so some of this stuff, like when you actually are recording the shows, it's the first time you've heard that in all that time?
In 30 years, because I don't want to get too far ahead.
Gotcha.
Because I want to be surprised, and I want to hear the chaos. Because the beginning shows of Pro Wrestling Spotlight I was trying to have it all kayfabe.
Yeah.
And then it kind of evolved in August of '89 when Ricky Steamboat left the NWA and came on out of character to talk about what happened with the actual negotiations with Jim Herd. And then Jim Herd came on the following week, and that's when the show took a different spin. And then there was no turning back.
Okay, so when Ricky came on and he was talking about stuff that usually you don't hear being talked about, but like, did he still keep kayfabe when it came to the match? Like the workings of the matches and things like that.
Yeah, his appearance on that particular episode were to do nothing but talk about the contract.
Gotcha.
And why he left and why he got screwed. But I mean, he was on previous episodes in character because that was when he had that phenomenal series with Flair in '89. Yeah. And he lost the title. I mean, I was just listening to this week's episode with my nephew here on Long Island. We were listening to, the night that he lost the title back to Flair, and when Terry Funk came in and they started that angle, which turned into the greatest summer of wrestling that I could remember.
Yeah, that was Nashville. The Wrestle War, right?
That was Nashville. Yes, it was.
Yeah.
So, I mean, just looking at the, I'm just good, the guest list of the shows we even got coming up in the future, the next several weeks are, a who's who. Lou Thez, Bruno Sammartino, Killer Kowalski, Bobo Brazil, Stu Hart, Freebird,
How was Stu
Cornette,
Hart? How was that?
What's that?
How was Stu Hart? how was?
My God! I haven't heard it back yet. I do have a little bit of recollection that it's going to be an interesting show because Stu was Stu.
Yeah.
So, and that was the only time that I ever had him on the show. But it was quite amazing to me at the quality of guests, and I'd bring Dave Meltzer on regularly, right from episode 1, and we didn't insult anyone's intelligence, but I was trying to actually walk a tightrope on not insulting people, but staying in character.
Yes.
I lost cooperation from the WWF immediately.
Why?
Because my second, they gave me Jimmy Hart in the first show, which debuted April 9th, '89, and then the second week I had Bruno on, and Bruno didn't have very many complimentary things about it. And in this episode, even today, it was Captain Lou Albano. So they just shut me down like immediately, and they didn't cooperate again. And then in 1991, they cooperated for 1 week and gave me Freddie Blassie.
Why did they do that? What was in it for them?
Because that was when the scandals had broken on the steroid side, the Zaharian trial, and McMahon called a meeting, and he invited me and Meltzer and Wade Keller and a couple of other journalists that were, covering it, and he basically brought us in to say, covering the business can be fun. We should all work together. We all should work together on, not tearing down the business that we all are employed in.
Yeah.
So he did a PR job with us, and then, lo and behold,
I remember when that happened.
I got Freddie Blassie, and that was amazing. And then more scandals were breaking, and that was the end of it.
Mm-hmm. I'll be damned. So who are the So tell me, okay, so the first episodes, what are the? Tell me what we have coming up though, John.
In this episode that we just dropped on Sunday, because we're dropping the shows every Sunday the way the show used to air, same time and all. So this particular episode, I had a guest that included Captain Lou Albano. I had Mike Rotunda on, had George Napolitano on.
Oh wow!
Nice. Iron Sheik as well. And then we had the beginning stages, and I'm laughing every week because the show was chaotic. I had a lot of indie wrestlers from the New York, Long Island area that were in the studio, like the Power Twins, if that name sounds familiar to you.
Of course.
And they came in basically and overtook the show for the first 4 or 5 weeks, and were bullying callers, and it was becoming really embarrassing for me. And then they did something to there was a organization for the visually impaired on Long Island that they made fun of, and I had to apologize, and they got barred. So the first 5 or 6 episodes were, great guests, but also chaotic. And then, as of show 7, which airs next week, it becomes a little bit more of a quality show, and that's when we bring Lou Fez on for a phenomenal interview. And then, show 8, which is going to air a week from Sunday, Killer Kowalski, Sergeant Slaughter, and then it starts to really find its way. But it's an amazing look back at 30 years ago, listening to all these lost episodes, and it's just really an historic look of really the first weekly radio talk show that focused on pro wrestling, that had amazing guests, and it turned into a tear the curtain down, show that like everyone does today.
Huh. So hey, on these earlier ones, is Russo still involved?
Russo wasn't involved with me until the end of '91.
Oh, okay.
So these shows are '89. Yeah, I met Russo. Russo was I was introduced to Russo by a listener. Russo had a video store on Long Island, and this is '91, and he came on as an advertiser.
Oh, that's right. Initially. Of course, we went in. I'm sorry, John. We actually went into that.
No problem.
With the first time you were on the show. This is my fucking brain fart. That's all. So,
no problem.
So
in '91.
In future episodes, there'll be some stuff like that Russo was involved in. You just haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah, it'll come in 3 years.
Wow! Oh my God,
2.5 years. I got enough content, Sean, for these shows. These shows will last literally for 6 or 7 years.
Wow!
I have enough weekly episodes to cover 6 or 7 years.
So, are you ever tempted, like when you go back and think of like your favorite interviews and your favorite episodes? Are you ever tempted to like go out a sequence and just like go right to those, or are you just pretty much going to just stick with the...
I'm tempted, but I'm not going to do it.
Good. Nice.
Because I want it to be surprised. When you hear the show, if anyone who may have heard it or may want to check it out, you're going to be fascinated. The reviews that we've gotten, because it's so different, and because it's so... People are saying it's charming, and people are saying it's unlike anything I've ever heard. There's a lot of laughs. There's a lot of fun. The guests are compelling and they're funny, and Captain Lou is always great. I mean, it's just, and then Meltzer starts to come on, and the fans really get an opportunity to hear some of the things when Turner just bought the NWA, it's just a really crazy look back at what happened 30 years ago. It's like reliving it.
Wow.
For me, it's almost like, and I'm saying it every week, I get flashbacks of what happened that week and what that show was when I'm hearing it again for the first time. And for Brian Last, who's probably one of the best interviewers or co-hosts that anyone can have, Brian is just pulling stuff out of me, and it's almost like he's my psychiatrist every week.
Yeah, I'm a
because
fan of
he's analyzing everything.
Yeah, I'm a fan of his. Like we were talking about before, like that was the guy I thought like would probably be the best fit for you when we were talking before. I really enjoy his stuff that he does. I think he does a great job with Cornette, and and like his 605 podcast. I really enjoy that. You know, like it's not like
he's got the 605.
Yeah, I don't
he's got about 6 of them.
I don't like listen to anything all the time. But when I get around to it, it's one of the ones I enjoy. Like I enjoy listening and talking about like the old TBS show. You know, it's pretty cool. And you get to hear the in the intro you get to hear that. Remember the song that the fucking theme song at the beginning of WCW?
Oh yeah.
Do 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 do.
Yep. And you know that once you hear that theme song, you know you're about ready to take another crazy ride with Brian Last on the 605. I mean, and it's a long one. I mean, he comes out with them about every month, I think, because they're 3 to 4 hours in length.
Hey, have you I wonder if anyone's ever asked you this. So like a lot of podcasts these days are doing live shows. Have you thought about how that would work? Doing something like that for
Sean, I mean, since we talked last and I was just kind of messing around with historic content I was putting up on Twitter and I started a Facebook group, but things have evolved for me in such a dramatic way since our last phone call that I'm thinking about a lot of things. Next year's the 30-year anniversary of the first Weekend of Champions. And so I want to kind of maybe do something there. But on a more intimate level, there's a book that is now in the works about my life. And I have a publisher that, I'm waiting for the last phase of the contract this week. Got a co-writer lined up. And it's going to be a story about my life from in the days of pro wrestling, but also the fact that I have 2 identities.
I know, that's so crazy.
Because I'm John Alexander in Nashville, the music marketing guy. So the publisher's like, you have a fascinating life. I mean, you've lived 2 totally different lives under 2 totally different names.
Yeah. Yeah, John.
And I'm even doing 2. I'm even doing 2. I do a music podcast in Nashville. And that's under my other name.
Wow! I think I told you. I thought maybe you had passed away or something. I hadn't heard. I just hadn't heard anything about you in fucking forever.
23 years I was gone. 23 years.
And then when I saw you pop up, I was so fucking happy. I was so happy you popped back up.
Thank you.
Yeah. Hey, so John, not to get off the subject of the podcast, but I'm kind of curious. Is there have you gotten the itch to do another convention?
I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about doing more intimate type of events. That are not going to be crazy like WrestleCon or some of the others, but bringing 5 or 6 people together, some dealer tables, but to have a dinner Q&A, meet and greet. And keep it manageable and keep it intimate, and not look for thousands of people, but maybe look for a few hundred people at these events. And
more of like a VIP
a lot of people are doing these little theater deals too, which and because I have all these films and videos and photographs, and I think the rollout. I mean, what this year has turned into for me, because so many things are starting to happen on the wrestling front, that I'm spending this year building the audience. I'm building the social media. I'm building the audience for the podcast, which is doing really amazing things in just a few weeks. And then in 2020, that's when the book will come out. That's when some of the live events will be planned. And there's also, I'm in discussions with some television people right now, which is kind of blowing me away because of the history that I have. So all of this has happened, pretty serendipitously. I wasn't seeking any of it, but opportunities are coming, and I welcome them because, if I'm going to leave a legacy for the, 40 plus years on and off that I've been in pro wrestling, I mean, why not share the history with everybody out there and give them something that they can kind of like feel good about and like, wow, this evolution of this business has, come a long way, but wow, those old days were really good.
Yeah, and also your film and photo archive is just insane. And I was wondering if you found a home for all that yet.
Well, I had been in discussions with WWE, with their network, but that was dragging on, and then there is no communication. I know they have an interest in it, but and I think they don't want anyone else to have it.
Here's my concern.
Here's made an offer. Right?
Here's my concern with that, John, is that that it just gets archived and no one ever fucking sees it. That shit needs to be seen.
Oh, and it will be because even though I thought that would be a really good home in the beginning, and who knows what the future holds, but I want people to see this stuff. I want them to live it. And I started a brand called Matt Memories, which is kind of going to be the focal point of 2020, and everything's going to be around Matt Memories. And, if I don't cut a TV deal, then I'm going to start a private member site where every month people are going to see these 10, 15-minute stories, these Matt Memories about what happened back in the day. And then you share the photos, the films, the audio, and there'll be nice little mini documentaries on an event that happened years ago.
Wow.
John, are you surprised at how many people took interest in everything that you were doing? Were you a little bit worried in the beginning, but now hearing all of these great responses that you've gotten back, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, you never know how you're going to be taken when you come back after such a long absence like I was. But what warmed my heart was the fact that guys like Sean and Conan and Sabu and Mick Foley and so many were so happy to see me back. And the fans have just blown me away. The people that followed me, and my demographic is older than most. I mean, my demographic is really a fan that's over the age of 40 who remembers me.
Yeah.
All the rest, under 40, are now discovering me.
Yeah.
And that's a slower process. But, the very first caller I ever had on Pro Wrestling Spotlight was a guy, Adam, from Long Beach, New York. And he just reached out to me on Twitter because he heard the podcast. And he was like, oh, my God, I was the first caller. Well, what are you doing now, Adam? Well, I'm an attorney in Florida. Yeah. So they're out there. And it's really kind of crazy amazing to me that all of these people have responded, and the reviews on iTunes and just the tweets and the response on social media, just really it's wow, these people just remember and they appreciate it because I kind of smartened people up back in the day, not knowing that was going to be a legacy of mine from those early days, but now as a historian and a storyteller on those days is kind of where I found my niche.
Yeah. So John, as far as guys, the Mick Foley's, myself, just all the different people that responded when you came back around. It's okay. Especially back around that time, there was a lot of shitty people involved in wrestling. And so whenever you found one of the really good ones and you encountered them, you didn't fucking forget it, John. And that's you. So there's just so many pieces of shit in wrestling, right? Back then. So like I said, man, it was just such a fucking... Even the good guys were shady. Even the best of us were shady back then. Bless his heart, Dennis Carluzzo. Sean, I love Dennis, but Jesus Christ.
Well, Sean, I left because I didn't like who I became. I was a good guy and all that, and I tried my very best. But when you're dealing with people, and and there were a lot of shady people back then, and I just didn't like what I'd become, and I was like, I got to get out of here. I got to get out of this.
Yeah, the shadiness.
And I did. That's why I changed my name.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm done.
The shadiness,
and then I had a
John.
successful career in Nashville, and now I'm back. And So I've learned a lot.
John, I was just going to say the shadiness and all that gets normalized. Like it becomes like a normal thing. And it's just like, oh my God, what the fuck? Like you said, what am I becoming?
Yeah. And it's not a good place.
Wow. Yeah. So, okay. And anything else you guys want to...
Just excited, by the way, John. Yeah. Side note, thank you so much for sending me that photo of you and Taylor Swift. I was like,
oh, yeah.
I was looking at it right before you logged on. I was like, I need to thank him for this.
When I saw your Twitter, and I was like, well, I knew Taylor, and, and I figured I'd send that along to you. But, I'm still in Nashville. I'm here on Long Island visiting family. I got a little apartment here now because I come here really often. And then in Nashville, I'm still doing all my music stuff. I'm still running my company, and I'm still doing artist development, and it's kind of these two really weird existences right now for me because, when you meld them together, and when my book comes out, it's going to cover both of the lives and also my life in baseball with the Mets. It's going to be a pretty fascinating journey on a guy who maybe is a little bit schizophrenic and has a few different personalities.
Hey, did we ever talk about when Will Pond tried to start the wrestling thing, and I got like
no,
yeah, what one of them? Oh shit! And I met with him down in Sarah's not Sarah Tarpon Springs or something. Anyways, one of the Will Ponds. He was old. He was really old. And then, like, the rest of the family got mad because he was going to put all this money in wrestling, and it was crazy. Milton?
Wow.
Is it Milton? Well, is it Milton Wilpon? Like, oh, fuck. Anyways, yeah, that was weird.
Wilpon owns the Mets. I mean, his son, Jeff and Fred Wilpon are the guys that own the Mets. But if they were going to get into wrestling, that would have been fascinating.
It was another Wilpon. Anyways, whatever. Yeah. I just remember. Okay, it was just brought up memories of me going to Shea Stadium with George Napolitano and freaking Tony Rumble.
I'll see George. I'll see George this weekend at the 50th anniversary of the '69 Mets. So I know I'll see George this weekend.
Well, give him a hug for me. Hey, John, when are you coming out to LA? So we can get you.
I would love to come out to LA, and that may be in the very near future because as this thing expands and opportunities present itself, I would love to come out just to visit you guys and come on your set and just kind of sit there with you, and it would be my pleasure. I mean, and I love LA because I visited LA so many times from my days in the music business.
Yeah, I mean,
I really, really love that area.
It's great here, especially if you have great people around you. So yeah. So where can everyone find the podcast? That's probably not too hard to find.
No, they're everywhere. It's John Arezzi's Pro Wrestling Spotlight, Then and Now. There's a website. It's pwspod.com. There's a Patreon where you hear all the shows unedited in their entirety at patreon.com/Arezzi. And then on my social media, I have the Twitter at John Arezzi, Instagram at John Arezzi, and I have a private member group on Facebook, John Arezzi's Matt Memories, which is we picked up 70 new members yesterday.
Oh shit!
I know it's crazy.
How come we're not doing Patreon, you guys?
There are millions of impressions now.
Oh wow! Hey, thank you, John, and
thank you guys, thank you all. I appreciate it so much, and one of these days, Sean, I'd like to get you on, on my show, but it won't be until you appeared for that first time.
I was just, anytime, John, anytime. When does my show come up? A couple years from now?
Yeah, you actually are. I believe you're in. Actually, no, it's in '92.
Yeah. It's me.
Yeah.
It's me, Missy Hyatt, and Jason Hervey. From Scores.
And Alex Marvez.
Sorry, Alex. From Scores. Yeah. So,
at Scores.
All right. Well, hey, John, thank you so much, man.
Thank you, guys.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Hey, have an awesome day, John. John Arezzi, everyone. Pro Wrestling Spotlight. Yeah. Let's take a break real quick.
Okay.
Let's reset for a second. All right, All right, we're back. And, nice little conversation with John Arezzi. And so now we're back to we're going to talk about Stomping Grounds a little bit.
Yeah.
And first of all, everyone, this is not a review. So, like, I don't need to hear in the comment section, fuck. It's not a review because I didn't see the whole show. But there were things that I saw, and I want to comment on them. And one is like, okay, the Stomping Grounds didn't really have a whole lot of buzz. Like, I didn't even know there was a fucking pay-per-view.
It kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Well, this was what was originally Backlash, I believe, right?
I don't know.
Yeah.
You tell me. I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. I think that's why it might have kind of seemed like it came out of nowhere.
Yeah, I had no idea. And also, I get the impression that there wasn't a ton of writing put into it. Mm-hmm. I mean,
with such a short
that
build,
in a good way,
right?
Like, it was just okay. Like, here's some, matches with a little story behind it, but not like it wasn't too fucking, like, I don't know if convoluted is the right word. It just.
It's like quickly, because even like the Ricochet Joe thing, that was put on, like, I think the Raw that was here at the Staples Center, Ricochet had just won the match to even be in the match.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was like very quick.
Yeah. And isn't it always the case with these where, you go into a pay-per-view with low expectations and they over-deliver?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's been the case with, like, even, like, more than one WrestleMania I can think of, like, where people were going into it, like, this isn't, we're not too excited about this. And then, like, afterwards, people are raving about it. So, yeah. I'm a big fan of less, just a more simplistic fucking presentation of a show like this.
Well, and I think to that point, I mean, if we can just jump right off with that Cruiserweight title match on the pre-show, it's one of those things where you could tell the crowd wasn't necessarily feeling it at first. Yeah. And by the end of it, they're going absolutely nuts because that match was phenomenal.
It was excellent. For me, though, as someone watching at home, the fucking leg slaps took me right out of it.
Sure.
And that's a shame because, like, those guys had a hell of a match. But, man, like, so I'm not one of the, first of all, I'm not an anti-leg slap guy. Okay? I'm not, like, I just think it needs to be, there's plenty of guys do it. I don't even see them doing it. Even if I'm looking. All right? So, like, that's not the problem. It's when it's blatantly obvious. It's not the it's not the director and the camera guy's job to not pick that up. It's your job to do it in a manner that they can't see on the camera,
right?
On TV at home, and in that respect, really, like I said, it's a crying shame because hell of a match.
I like that everybody's talking about this match, obviously, but one of the things I do want to point out is that there has been a lot of really good cruiserweight matches. Like, Buddy Murphy has been killing it, and I'm like, okay, let's not forget that Buddy Murphy is also one of those guys that's just going out there and killing it. So I'm kind of glad that this match is also kind of shining light on that and saying, like, hey guys, like, this isn't like the pre-show, like, it's kind of seen as like, oh, you're not in the main card, but this is like when someone's talking about the match that was on the pre-show. Right.
Look, if you're not in the main event, might as well be on first because you get a fresh crowd. They're not all worn out, and it's like a fresh canvas to paint on. So, all that like if you're getting paid the same and all that, like try not to let that get
Sure.
Because, in people's heads, I remember one time, for example, people can get real caught up with where they are on the card, listed-wise, right? And we were in a house show, WCW house show, and I was wrestling Eddie Guerrero. And we were, like, real late in the night. We weren't the main event, but we were, like, really, like, on real late. And I had the match moved up, like, so we could get on earlier, get, a fresher crowd, all of that, take a shower and get dressed and, ready for the rest of the evening, a little earlier than normal. Boy, fuck, Eddie got pissed off. Oh, yeah, he thought it was, like, some kind of a demotion. Like, it was, like, the match had less...
Prestige.
Because I got it put on earlier. It's like, what? The
So
fuck
you did it
talking-
without telling him first? Or
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
figured
because
he'd
like
want
I could not imagine anyone like actually fucking feeling that way.
it's just like I see his perspective though, like sometimes you think that way, like, the more further deep,
Dude.
it's just growing better and better,
Fuck
so.
out of here. I love you, Eddie, and I miss you, but fuck out of here with that.
It's the middle of the card that gets lost. You
God,
remember this.
So
yeah.
how
Right.
did you calm him down when he was
I
mad?
don't remember even trying.
That's funny.
You got over it, and we had a good hell of a match.
I'm sure he was thankful for it later once he
I don't
did all
think
those
so.
things. Oh, okay, never mind. Never mind.
But with that, yeah, with that triple threat, I'm excited to see where they go with Drew Gulak now, with kind of a bigger focus on him.
And congratulations, Drew Gulak.
Definitely.
I'm a big Drew Gulak fan, so I'm happy for him.
Yeah, there's
He
not a lot of
deserves
people
that.
doing what Drew does out there.
Yeah. And so, like, when you think of cruiserweights, like, automatically you're thinking of people flying through the air with the greatest of ease, and not, like, the submission specialist that keeps it on the ground.
Right.
And I think it's perfect.
Absolutely.
Yes. I like the heel cruiserweight champion that doesn't fly around.
Yeah, the no-fly zone. That's such a great
Yeah.
approach to it, for sure.
Yeah.
All right, so now we're kicking off with the first match on the main card, which was Becky Lynch defeating Lacey. So, what did you think about this match?
It was fine. There were some rough spots in it. Yeah.
I think, personally...
I think Lacey, her character-wise, like, all the character work is fucking phenomenal. It's when the bell rings. She's, yeah. I there's some, like... It seemed like Becky was having a little bit of a hard time out there.
I think you could see her frustration a little bit, and obviously she wasn't trying to show it, but when you're frustrated, it probably just comes out. But I think that because Lacey Evans, because her in-ring skills aren't as strong as her mic skills or her persona skills, it kind of takes away, I think, from the interest of the fans, because we are used to seeing Becky in matches with Charlotte, with Ronda, etc. So you kind of don't take it as seriously, and I think that takes away from it, because I really, really like the man, and Lacey's talking about being the perfect lady. It's a very great storyline, especially right now with like the political climate and all of that stuff. So I think that's the only thing that's really taken away from this match, and I think from their thing. So I think that's one of the things that just kind of fell through.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So moving on, let's talk about the Ricochet defeating Samoa Joe and winning the U.S. title.
Yeah.
Yeah, I absolutely loved this. When you get guys in there, Samoa Joe to me is one of those guys that there's not a lot of guys that are as believable as Joe is, both on the mic and in the ring. And I think when he's in there with someone like Ricochet, I think their styles complement each other in such a way that it's always great stuff.
Yeah, I wanted to point out that this match actually reminded me of Samoa Joe, AJ Styles from TNA, because he's beating them down, and all of a sudden he does all these like spectacular moves, and that's kind of what I saw from this match here. And I just thought that this was going to be like, for Ricochet to now have the title, he can now go on to have like more different opponents, but also he's in a position where he can grow to more of a star.
Yeah. And I really like. Okay. Did anyone see, like, leading up to... Oh, that was on Raw, right? Okay. I'm skipping ahead here. Okay, no, I'm just talking about his promo. Did you see his promo on Raw? His backstage interview segment?
Who's Samoa Joe's?
No, Ricochet.
Ricochet's? No, I missed that.
It was very, like... it was just like a normal, like, likable guy fucking out there talking. And it was nothing special. It didn't seem like it could have, like, it did not seem scripted at all. Like, it just seemed like there were some bullet points, like, that he hit. And it came off. It wasn't really smooth. It was just, I thought it was really effective at making him, likable. I mean, he's already likable.
Yeah.
Just based on his the way he goes out there and fucking kills it every night. But
and I think that's such an interesting point. The fact that it's that lack of smoothness makes it feel more authentic, you know? Because if you look at tapes, you know, from decades ago, guys weren't going out there having every single syllable completely memorized.
Especially me.
Yeah. There were those little pauses and those little ticks and those things that are there when you're having a real conversation with people. I think
and especially like when you're having one and you know a camera is on you recording it. Like it just makes it like it's almost impossible to be your normal self if you know there's a camera on you.
Absolutely.
You can think otherwise all you want, but like it's just about fucking impossible.
I don't know what you're talking about.
So, yeah.
Could not resist.
Do you think we're going to see Samoa Joe move up to the title picture now, maybe work with Kofi? What do you think?
I hope so. He deserves it. He's done, like, he's proved himself. And it's talking about this match too, and also his match with Rey Mysterio, and the fact that Samoa Joe at 270 or whatever he is, 260, he's a big old dude, and he really knows how to have a match with the smaller guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's especially in this day and age when there's so many guys that are smaller, that if you know how to have a match with the smaller guy, you can make a lot of money with them. You know, you can, like Scott Hall, for instance. Scott could work with, he was huge. He's a big old motherfucker, you know, 6'7", whatever, 300, almost 300 pounds, 280. But he could work with me, believably. He could work with, Ray Ray. He could, and he could also work with Yoko, Big Show. You know, I mean, you name it. And there's an art to that. And I think Joe's really good at that. So.
All right, moving on.
Because I did hear, like, I did see Josh Barnett, like, tweeting about how Samoa Joe was wrestling Ricochet, and it was totally unbelievable.
Really?
And because he's so much smaller, and I just couldn't disagree with you more on that, Josh. And I totally respect Josh's opinion. Like,
sure.
If it was a fight, yeah, obviously. But, I mean, whatever. I thought it was just fucking fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. All right.
Yeah.
Do we want to talk about Roman Reigns defeating Drew McIntyre? Do we think that it was the right call to have Roman win? Or maybe we should have had Drew win?
Yeah.
I just thought that it was the wrong call, just so that we can start having Drew maybe start getting pushed so that eventually he can work with Seth down the line.
Yes, Drew I would have liked to have seen Drew win that. Yeah. I don't know what the thinking is there. Obviously, they know what the thinking is. So, you know, there must have been a reason for it.
It looks to me they want to continue with Roman and Drew and Roman and Shane.
Right.
And
Well, if that was the case, you would think maybe Drew would get the fucking win on that one.
Yeah.
Where, I don't know. When Roman gets the win, we all breathed a relief, meaning, oh, maybe Roman will move on to something else.
Right, exactly.
And then on Raw, he doesn't.
Right.
That's the frustration, and like wrestling fandom's a unique experience that no other TV show do you feel that way.
Sure.
But wrestling, you see that happen on the booking, and you're like, I don't like this.
Yes.
Right.
All right.
I'd love to see a program between Roman and Drew just left to their own devices, just one-on-one, two hosses, you know?
It was a good match. I think that was one of the things that
Absolutely.
the fans didn't like was the interference.
Right.
I think they felt like maybe it was a little too much, or it kind of took away from that. But
Sure.
yeah, but overall, though, they put on a good match together.
Yeah.
All
All
right.
right, everyone. So I didn't really see all of Kofi and Dolph cage match. I didn't see enough of Seth and Baron. So basically, that's pretty much it. How was it?
Well, the Kofi
I saw the
Dolph Ziggler
finish.
match.
I saw the cage match finish.
The cage finish was great.
Yes, it was
yeah,
good.
for sure.
Yeah.
I was told that there was no screens in the arena, so people couldn't really see what was happening, like, because, you know, the cage is obviously going to disrupt your view if you're there live.
Yeah.
So I think that probably led to the crowd not being as interested in this match. But if you were watching on TV, it was fine. But I think there was a little disconnect with the live audience on this one here. And then the main event, Seth and Baron Corbin with Lacey as the referee. It was clever to have her as the ref, I think.
How'd she do?
I think she did fine. I mean, she's got the character stuff down, and the crowd popped huge when Becky came out after Lacey gave Lacey gave Seth a low blow. So that was pretty interesting as well. But I just, the crowd wasn't the hottest on this one.
So how did Baron do?
It's Baron Corbin. Is Baron Corbin?
Yeah, but sometimes he's good. He's good in some matches. Right? You could say what you want.
The crowd was not happy in this match.
Okay.
Let's just say that.
Yeah.
They were not happy. There was a chance, the boring chance, CM Punk chance, and I'm sure that was not thrilling. Obviously, you don't want to be the guys in the ring with people chanting that stuff.
He didn't appear to be from my perspective, he didn't appear to be in a very winnable situation. Because he played the match as written to a T. And it was very much performance-based. Play to Lacey Evans. Lacey Evans would grab the microphone, keep changing the rules. A very heel special referee kind of a match.
Just stack the deck against Seth the whole fucking time.
And Baron Corbin did a great job in that role. I just don't know. I don't know that he got to shine as a wrestler.
Yeah.
All right. Well.
That's...
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't see enough of it. Yeah. And like I said, that's why my fucking, at the beginning of the segment, I was like, this is not a review.
Exactly.
As we are reviewing.
This is a discussion.
All right. Do we want to kind of, anything that stood out from you from Raw?
I don't know. What happened?
Well,
Taker.
I was going to say we had Undertaker.
Taker, yes. Yes, and it was just like, it was just out, like, it didn't not make sense, but it was totally like caught me off guard.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, like, okay, I can understand there being a connection there, Roman and Taker, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
now they're teaming up against Shane and Drew for Extreme Rules, so that's kind of refreshing, actually.
Yeah, and look, from Taker's point of view, I can see him feeling the need to get back out there right away and show everyone that it wasn't him.
Right. Kind of make up for it. Yeah.
He can't change the past. Like, last time he was in a ring with Roman Reigns, he lost and left all his gear in the ring.
Yeah.
Right.
He's had multiple matches since then. He can't change that past. He can only redirect how that story can play moving forward.
Sure.
I'm just referring to it not being him.
Yeah.
Right.
Because of
the
last time we saw it.
Because of doors.
Yeah. So, anyways, all right. Yeah, I thought that was fine. He looked good. People were happy to see him. I'm all for using guys like him like that.
Sure. I would like to see a lot of contact between him and Drew and see kind of how they work together.
Yes. Yeah. And if you're going to have Taker in a match, or me, or anyone else that's long in the tooth, you can't be in a fucking match with somebody else that's long in the tooth.
Right.
Fuck. It doesn't matter how good it looks on paper. What the fuck? All right.
All right. Well, there was a lot of other matches that happened. Ricochet versus AJ non-title, but this would be good if they go down the line for the bout afterwards. That was a
fantastic match for sure.
And there was quite a few.
Some people complained that Ricochet got beat, and whatever. It was a non-title match. It's kind of paid by numbers. Booking, okay, non-title match. The champ always loses, and that's fine if they're setting up something.
Normally I'd see that, but if you're putting him in there with AJ, I think it makes perfect sense.
Yeah, it just was predictable. Yeah. I knew that was,
Also, part of me felt that was them saying AJ Styles should be more or less in a world title picture.
Right.
So that if AJ Styles beats the U.S. champion and then AJ Styles stays in the world title picture, that's not a ding on Ricochet in any way.
Exactly, right.
It's different divisions.
Right.
Except for, why'd they fucking do it then?
Well.
Right.
For what? Just to put a good match on TV?
Yeah.
They do that.
That's fine.
Yeah,
that's fine. I'm just wondering, is that the reason? Or is there something more? All right. Yeah. That's just because, your first fucking title defense, you lose. Or no, your first match after winning the title, you lose. Wasn't a fan of that. But I get it.
Right.
So, all right.
All right. Any other moments that you might want to talk about? We Alexa Naomi, Kofi Zane, Kofi Owens, Viking Raiders, Gallows Anderson. There was,
I thought that I was
matches,
surprised.
actually.
Sorry.
Sorry.
People have complained sometimes like that I talk over the guests, and yes, sometimes I do, because sometimes it just needs to come out. Because if it doesn't, I will lose it.
It's your show.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, but I get it. Like it gets to me sometimes too when I realize I've talked over somebody. But anyways, what was I saying?
I know you were
as I was talking over you.
Well, she was recapping the rest of the show. I know you had mentioned Gallows and Anderson before we went live.
I thought the Viking Raiders just ran right through them and just beat them like fucking. It was just like, all right.
Like,
Yeah.
I thought there would be more to that.
You were almost about to, I feel like you were almost about to say enhancement talent, and you're not wrong, because that's who
I did not almost about to say that.
But
I
that's
wasn't
who
even thinking it.
But that's who they've beaten up until now. So it makes it hard to not see the club that way, and we don't want to see the club that way.
Yeah.
Did you guys see the Drake Maverick R-Truth wedding thing?
Yeah.
That was awesome. I love that.
Yes.
That was hilarious. Thought I'd bring it up. Yeah. All right. Is that a wrap for?
I think it is.
All right.
And thanks, everyone. This was a little bit of a long episode. if you are still listening, I thank you very much. If you are not, I totally understand.
All right. Before we go, guys, please do not forget to check out the show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube.com/Xpac. We're also on Stitcher, Anchor. You guys name it. We'll be tweeting it out a bunch. And if you guys haven't already, make sure to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Xpac12360 Show. And Steve, do you want to go ahead and give your social media, and then we'll go around?
I'm Steve Kaufman. You can find me on Twitter almost exclusively at Steve Kaufman. That's KUFMANN. I'm involved in a lot of YouTube pages, including this one, and youtube.com/something to wrestle, which, I'll say it, isn't monetized by YouTube. It's kind of a thing I've been dealing with.
That's a long story. Guys, you can find me on all forms of social media at Ty Matthews PMA, and you can find Championship Wrestling from Hollywood at CWF Hollywood, and Saturdays, check your local listings.
All right, Denise Salcedo at _Denise Salcedo. Sean?
Oh, what the fuck was I going to say?
Social
I can't
media?
remember it. No, but I think there was something else I was going to say, and I can't remember. But, oh, well, maybe I'll remember it by next week.
Next time.
And they'll find you after the next one.
Yeah, they know. See you next week, everyone.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Keven Undergaro, Phil Svitek, Sean Waltman, producers Mark B. Donica, Jimbo Frank, and the entire Xpac 12360 staff, we would like to thank you for tuning in. Like us on Facebook, rate and comment on iTunes and YouTube. Follow Xpac on Twitter at TheRealXpac and email us at xpac12360show@gmail.com.